This conversation about building up your blueprint. It's time to take it cause time is wasted. Go grind and chase it, don't lose it. This generation need integration with information to move with. An inclination that is abiding in entertaining improvement.
Good morning, afternoon, and evening, depending on what time you are watching this episode. What's going on, Blueprint Nation? Welcome to another dope episode of the Respect My Blueprint podcast. This is your main man and your host, your Blueprint Mastermind. As always, what we do here, we give you the blueprint on how to do shit around here. Okay. And today's guest is an awesome guest. All of my real estate entrepreneurs, real estate investors, wholesalers, flippers. Listen, this is the episode that you want to tune into because I have something very special for you guys. I have someone who is going to, a business and executive coach, who is going to teach us how to be able to go ahead and learn the blueprint all about real estate. Yes, okay. Blueprint family, I hope you're excited because today's guest, he's flipped 25 years of the corporate ladder into now building a real estate cash flowing machine. All right. He's co-founded Left Field Investors, which was acquired by Bigger Pockets, by the way, and rebranded as Passive Pockets. Also, he's a coach, a strategist, and a blueprint architect. So, man, we are going to go ahead and dive deep into his mind. He's going to share some blueprint strategies with us. I'm super excited with my guest today. So let's go ahead and give a round of applause and give a warm welcome to Chad Ackerman. Chad, what's going on today, my friend? How you doing?
Wesley, great to meet you, man. Appreciate you having me on the podcast. I keep freezing up. I hope we get through this. We're going to bondo and duct tape this together, but we're going to make it work.
Listen, no matter what, we're going to make this happen. Okay.
We're going to make it happen.
We're not going to have anybody stop us from the value that's being shared. First things first, Chad, thank you for being on the show today. Super excited and my energy level is up because I know what's in store for us. But the audience, for those that are watching you for the first time and have the pleasure to meet you, if you could go ahead and start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, and your expertise, so that could set the stage for us.
Yeah. So I'm standard guy, white collar, W-2 career. I was in HR of all things, so you can't get much more corporate than HR.
Right.
I did my 20 plus years with it. Loved it. I loved what I was doing. I was focused on sales compensation specifically. So I got to do analytics. I got to go work with the sales teams. I didn't have a quota that I had to chase, which I was happy about, but I got to work with a lot of that, feel the energy off of the sales team. I did it for a long time. And then I kind of hit that rut that I think a lot of people go through of just feel like I've accomplished what I need. I was looking for something else. Really like the idea of adding on an income stream, but I started looking at single family flips and rentals and wholesaling and just nothing clicked. I'm like, I don't get how I scale this and make this work like I wish it would, but I want to build up a potential to replace my W-2 income. I wanted that financial freedom because what if I got sick or hurt, or what if I had a family member I wanted to go work, be with, because they weren't doing well. I think it's all those issues that us 40, 50-year-olds start facing. I was having all that, right? I know. I'm just speaking truth. But it was just, that was kind of my epiphany was, hey, you need to go find something else. And I couldn't find that thing that would scale. And I found a local meetup group here. I'm in Columbus, Ohio, that was talking about single family stuff. And I started attending it. And the owner or the founder of this group got up and spoke at the last one I went to. And he talked about how he had gotten into passive income through syndications, investing as a limited partner. And I'm like, the switch flipped. I'm like, that's the thing I've been looking for.
That's it right there, right? It was just like,
stay in my W-2. Yeah. I don't have to lift a hammer. I don't have to vet a tenant, I can scale this while being in my W-2 still, because I wasn't ready to leave. I was okay being in it. I wanted to find other means.
Right.
But I was like, I need to learn more about this. So found out he lived in the same suburb as I did. We got together for beers, found out more and more about this. And I was like, no, yeah, this is the path I want to go. And so I invested in my first deal, got super excited about it and looked for the next one. Ultimately, I ended up liquidating my 401k, moved it all over. I burned the ships. I'm like, this is the path I want to take. No retreat. Yeah. But I loved it. And we started, he and I and a couple other guys started, we actually wanted to start a different meetup that was just focused on syndications and being an LP. And our first scheduled meeting for our meetup was March 18th of 2020. The world shut down 3 days before we had that meeting. So we
Man.
got put onto Zoom. We started then inviting all kinds of people to it. And this little project turned into a business that was known as Left Field Investors. We grew that to where we had about 2,000 LPs in our community. And as we grew, operators started coming to us and offering us money to advertise to our group. That we're like, great, we have a business now. We didn't realize we had a business. So
Right. Okay.
I'm an accidental entrepreneur is what the story is, really. But it was
I
great.
like that. I like that. Yeah.
But it was a great journey. It was a lot of fun. We helped a lot of people. We held a couple in-person conferences, and I've never had an experience like those because people came up to me and said, Chad, you helped change my life. You introduced me to something. I'm like, we were just trying to get better at being LPs ourselves. It was selfish. I'll be honest with you, man. We were just in it to learn more. But then it like this whole experience happened. This whole community came out of it that was really cool. That was like, we're going to run with it then. This is exciting. This is a lot of fun. We grew it for 4 or 5 years and got the attention of Bigger Pockets. And we talked to them a little bit. They jokingly said, maybe we'll buy you out. We jokingly said, why don't you? and it worked out. It worked out. Well, we knew we needed resources to help scale the community better than we could.
Right.
We knew they had it. We all were on Bigger Pockets and they didn't talk about syndications, which is why we went and did our own thing.
Right.
And then they were trying to get that avenue built into their system too. So we said, well, why don't we help you out? It'd be really cool if we could, help Bigger Pockets build their passive community. So that's where we are now. And so we sold to them last August, I guess it was. I decided I wasn't done. I mean, it wasn't retirement money, but it was nice to give me a bridge that I went out and bought a franchise and got certified as a business coach. And I blend that business coaching certification with my experience from running Left Field for a few years that I'm now trying to go back and help introduce people to this space, educate more on, hey, there is a different avenue than just 401ks and IRAs. Those are important by all means, but there's other diversification. There's other ways to get cash flow that can be tangible for you if you need a safety net kind of thing. You don't have to wait until retirement age to collect on it. So it's my mission is just get out and introduce people to there are other avenues. This left field side of things can work for people too. I was an average guy. I ended up in it. I left my W-2 in 2023 and I've been super happy and don't want to go back to corporate world. So,
oh man, what
that's a lot. I hit you with a lot of it,
astonishing, very astonishing. Which I have some questions here, but I want to go ahead for the audience to educate them because some of them, maybe not be in real estate. First of all, I know what an LP is, but what is an LP and what role which an LP is a limited partner, right? And what role does an LP play?
Yeah, great question. It's very important to understand those dynamics. In a syndication role, syndication is just a big real estate investment. Could be anything. You can group money into about anything that you want to buy, but we'll talk real estate specifically. Say somebody's going out to buy an apartment building. Well, that is the general partner generally that is going to run the project that probably has experience in it. And a lot of times they need some extra capital to get the down payment and some of the capital expense taken care of up front. And they go out and look for limited partners to invest in their deal with them. A limited partner comes in with capital, but they aren't responsible for getting involved in any of the activity related to it. They aren't going to hire a contractor or lift a hammer. They're not going to vet tenants. They're there just to passively invest alongside the operator and end up with income coming out of that without the headache of doing the day-to-day work.
So an LP, of course, good. And this was rolled out in response to the Obama administration with the Jobs Act, right? If I'm not mistaken, where it made it possible
the Jobs Act
to be able
Correct.
To go ahead and have platforms where regular everyday people, could be able to have the opportunity to invest in projects and things like that, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Just open the door of, it's interesting to go read the tax laws and what the tax laws really are steering people towards that they want to. They create benefits. The Jobs Act was a way to go about getting more people into investing in group projects like this that just revitalize communities and so forth. So there's win-win there. that you get to invest alongside operators that know what they're doing. And it's just a way to diversify your portfolio.
And the beautiful thing about it, special. Let's because there's a lot of, well, not a lot. The most prominent person that has been the most prominent person I know within this space is Grant Cardone, right?
Yep, Grant's a big one. Yeah,
he's a big one, and there's others as well too that's been able to leverage this particular law and do syndication, and almost similar to the business model that you're doing right now, right? So.
Yeah.
Let me ask, what I want to ask you is how has syndication changed the game just for everyday people to be able to get involved into real estate now?
Yeah, I think at the very least it opened the door. Now it's
Right.
difficult, like you said. Grant's a big name, and you could Google Grant and you can find out a lot of information about him. And he's kind of institutional at this point.
Right. At this point,
There, yeah, there. Now the good and the bad is there are a lot of other operators out there. Anybody can go out and buy an apartment, and you can, if you have a good CPA, you can structure a deal and go 506B, 506C and get investment money from LPs. But that's also a caution for people too, of be leery of being a guinea pig for somebody that's just trying it out. So, to me, this is where we build a community. I highly like the power of community vetting to understand, hey, has anybody ever heard of Chad Ackerman General Partner? Well, no. Well, I'm probably not going to invest with Chad Ackerman General Partner right out of the gate. I want to watch you for a year and see how you're doing, because I don't know you. My community doesn't know you. There's too much risk out there to go in a direction with somebody that you don't have a lot of information on. You got to do your due diligence. But at the same time, there are a lot of really good operators out there that aren't Grant Cardones of the world that are doing a really good job, cranking out good returns, have good communications, that have been doing it for a long time. I honestly say to a lot of people right now, as there's almost not been a better time to be a limited partner, because the last 2 or 3 years with the way the economy's gone, it's exposed a lot of bad operators, and they are more identifiable. So you're probably not going to invest with them. You're going to want to invest with the ones that made it through the last few years with great records, learned a lot, pivoted, had their bumps, but this is what they're doing differently now. That's made it easier for me as a limited partner to say, hey, you managed the last 2 or 3 years well with the deals you had in place. I like that. I want to keep investing with you going forward then. Better yet, if you made it through 2007, 2008, and the last couple of years,
right,
you've learned a lot. You've got a lot of scar tissue.
Yeah, you've been through the downturns, right?
Yes. But you probably know what you're doing now. You probably have a safer, more conservative program that can manage the unknown. Who guessed global pandemic, and got that right? Who had that on their bingo chart, So
it's like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. So it's this tie. This is what I like about communities, or what I try to coach on, is just helping people think through. Don't get dazzled by the fancy marketing that an operator may present you with. Take the time to do the due diligence. Go do your homework. Go meet people that have met these operators before you write a check, because it's you don't have to write a huge check, but there's risk. There's risk in every investment you do, though. So it's no different than investing in the stock market, really.
So share with me some of the responsibilities of an LP, right? I mean, because LPs, I know they're responsible for getting the investors, maybe sourcing the deal, putting it together and everything like that. But of course, they may not be on the ground with the hammer and nail with the contractors and everything. But what are some of the responsibilities of an LP?
Yeah, the biggest thing is due diligence. I mean, you are basically an independent investor. You're looking for places to park your money. And we say you're a passive investor, but we jokingly say you need to be an active passive investor, because you got to do the due diligence up front. Your role is really vetting that operator. You bet the jockey, not the horse. So really get to know and like and trust the operator first, then his deals and the market that he's going to or she's going to. That your effort as a limited partner is all up front. And then once you like what you're getting into, agree with the deal structure, happy with the operator, and you write the check, that's kind of when you become passive, because at that point, it's called a limited partner for a reason because you have limited control over what you can do once the deal is done. You're just there getting communications, tracking how it's doing. But there aren't a lot of levers you get to pull as a limited partner investor. You're purposely giving up that control to get this limited partner benefit of not having to do stuff all the time, but still collecting money out of it. So your work after the deal is done is basically watching the distributions, watching the communication to make sure that they're staying on par with what they are. You can still ask questions, you can still push, but at that point, you're just collecting mailbox money, really, is what you're doing.
Is there any special requirement or skills for anyone to be an LP? Because a lot of people, when they get into real estate, usually the first step they get into is wholesaling, right?
Right.
You know,
Yep.
so,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of people are even unaware of, wow, a LP. So what is there any
Agreed.
special skills, requirements, licensing or anything like that?
There is not. There is a structure that there are certain deals based on the tax code that you have to be accredited, or there are other deals that you can be non-accredited. A sophisticated investor is what they call it.
Right.
That's the biggest hurdle that really defines you as a limited partner of what deals you can get into. 506C structured deals are offered to limited partners that are non-accredited or accredited, but the operator has to have a relationship with you before you can get involved in that deal. That's the biggest hurdle. 506B are only offered to accredited investors. And then that could be a Grant Cardone that can advertise it all over the world. And there's no laws structuring that they can't market it to anybody. So the accreditation status is the biggest thing. Beyond that, it's kind of analytical skills is the biggest thing, just because you're going to have to do due diligence. But there is no licensing required for this. There is no required education and so forth. The accreditation is the tag, and the idea behind accreditation is you could be accredited if you make, I forget what all the rules are now, like $300,000 as a household income,
250, 300,000 or something.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right.
Or have $1 million of wealth. The idea behind those structured criteria are that if you have enough of that wealth or that income, then you probably know what you're doing, or you can have a safety net of what you could lose, if you will. I think it's kind of a loose rule. I know people that have a lot of wealth that are not good at investing that could lose their money easy. I ran a community and I'm still not accredited. So I ran a community, for crying out loud, teaching this stuff. I coach it now and I don't meet the accreditation qualifications yet. So it's kind of a goofy rule, but it's what we've got. We got to work with it, you know?
Okay.
But beyond that, yeah, there isn't any other kind of requirement involved in it. So part of what I'm trying to do with my coaching is go out and demyth a lot of these things that people think about. Oh, you got to have a ton of money, or it's only for the wealthy, or you can get into the deal. There's a company we partnered with called TribeVest. They allow you to group money, kind of like a crowdfunding scenario, if you will, but you do it with friends and family if you want.
Right.
So that there could be 10 of you that put, $5,000 in a piece, and you could go invest that in a syndication deal. So you can get into it with little money. There's a lot of people that do those tribes, and they'll put $250 a month in or something like that until it grows enough to go get into a deal. So there are avenues to get into this that you don't need to be a millionaire to go this route. But the tax benefits that you see by investing in this space, to me, far outweighed putting money in the active side. I like the passive side much better.
Wow. So the beauty of it is you're typically not having to deal with the tenants, the landlord, all the nuts and bolts and everything like that. Typically, you don't even get involved with, right?
My average week, I'm maybe putting 5 hours a week towards this space. That's the beauty of it to me, is it is kind of a safety net as an other income stream that's coming in that allowed me to leave my W-2 and go do different things, try other things on my own, because I had all this other time I could dedicate to an entrepreneurial business or whatever I wanted to do, that it's a nice just in case kind of scenario. And the more that builds, it can replace all of that income for me ultimately. And all I'm doing is checking communications once a quarter and watching distributions come in at the end of the day. So it's a great avenue. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So now let me ask you, now have built a platform where you're training and educating and mentoring LPs and right, which the great thing about it is funny because an LP is sort of like the mentor for someone wanting to get into real estate. That person is and now you're mentoring the mentor.
Yeah. That's an avenue. That's definitely a way to go about it. Yeah. So
So
yeah, I think it's interesting. To me, there just wasn't enough information out there about what limited partners are. That's why we started Left Field and built the community we built, because you couldn't talk to your neighbors about it. You couldn't talk to your friends, your family. They all thought you were crazy. I mean, that's where our name Left Field came from, because everybody's like, oh, that's out in left field. You don't want to do that. You don't trust these people you're going to give money to. Well, we wanted to pull like-minded people together because we knew there was value here. And my goal, I always thought a legacy for Left Field, if I could get education material in high schools or community college or something like that, let this be taught alongside financial discussions, just to show that it's another avenue. Hey, go explore this. There is viability to this. It's another way to diversify. It's got its benefits by all means. Go get educated on it so you know what you're doing. Well, now I'm trying to do that in my own way and see what I can. I've got a couple book ideas that I'm trying to get together as well, so I can try to get something published out there that will just open the door to this. It was a life-changing thing for me to find this and get involved with it. I want to share that. I want to change other people's lives as well by introducing them here, educating them, get them. My whole thing is, a lot of people study this, maybe some, but they don't take the action. I want to give them the confidence to take action. Go pull that trigger. When I wrote that first check, next thing I want to do is write my second check. I'm like, no, this is it. I want to keep going.
Yeah.
This is it. This is it. So I want to get people to that feeling, because it's a cool space to be.
And just for those that don't know, because there's a lot of questions I'm asking here, and for LP, I know there's some fear, because you mentioned some people like, you trust in somebody, but most people don't know what an LP, they have to have skin in the game as well too, right? They have to be able to invest their own money, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Or a certain percentage.
I wouldn't invest with a general partner that didn't put money in. Put it that way. If they're not betting on their own deal, that's a red flag. And that's kind of part of this, is we define a lot of red flags. Everybody, it's very individualized, right? You have your own goals, you have your own needs, your own risks, your own obstacles you got to deal with. There isn't a blueprint, sadly. There's a lot of blueprints, but that's where having the coach or having a community helps to talk through the strategy. Like, to me, I want to spend so much more time on your strategy, your goals, your risk tolerances, your obstacles, before we ever talk about, okay, who do we go vet and what kind of deal we're in. There are a ton of shiny objects in this business. Let's trim that funnel down by getting your buy box set first, so you don't make a mistake. My first investment, I never should have got into it. It was a shiny object that I got excited. It was a 17-story building in Cleveland, Ohio, that was an office building they were going to convert to an apartment. Okay. I'm like, this sounds awesome. Well, my goal that I didn't realize at the time was to replace my W-2 income. That thing was a total teardown of 17 stories and rebuild. That wasn't going to cash flow for years, that I shouldn't have gotten into it at all. It was great. It had like a 7x return promise on it and all this stuff. It sounded awesome. So yeah, that's what sucked me in,
Right.
But was that the right thing for me at the time? No. So I want to help people avoid that by defining that buy box first and foremost. And then let's talk about how to deploy at that point in time. So that's where there is effort. There is, their own due diligence they got to do. They got to understand their own things, and then put blinders on, because it all looks neat out to the peripheral. Yeah. But that's what gets you in trouble, is chasing the neat stuff, So I'm trying to be here to be kind of an accountability coach, hold you to what you're doing, but help you build what your strategy is and build your buy box, so that to me, having that defined clearly takes a lot of the emotion out of this. And then it's math at the end of the day. And it's not rocket science. It's just, does this fit in my buy box or not? Yes or no? No. Walk away, because you need to get over fear of missing out pretty quickly too, because there's going to be another deal coming around the corner.
Right. I love that.
Let that one go and come into the next one and analyze the next one and see what it does for you. So patience is a big virtue in this business. I can't preach anything bigger than have patience and get over that fear of missing out, because not doing those things is exactly what gets you in trouble. And there is once you write that check, you're along for the ride. There isn't a lot you can do until that deal sells, or they refinance it, you get your money back, and that kind of thing. Right. So make sure you do the right thing up front. It's all about, like I say in single family, you make your money when you buy it. Same kind of things happening in this space. You just have less control over it once it goes.
So now let me ask you a question. You brought up a great point. This is a follow-up. What are some of the signs for the audience, and just someone that's wanting to get into a syndication, what are some of the warning signs they should look for, whether it's dealing with the LP or the deal itself? What are things they should stay? Like you mentioned, that 17-story deal should have stayed away from that.
Right.
What are some of the warning signs people should look for?
Yeah, there's all kinds, and honestly, a lot of it is personalized to you and what are your go no go. But like one of the things we preach on a lot of times is kind of the don't put all your eggs in one basket kind of thing, and that being don't invest everything you have with one operator. Don't invest in one geography, because what if a hurricane takes out your entire portfolio? Don't invest in one asset class, because asset classes are part of the economy, that some are going to be up, some are going to be down, depending on what's going on. So diversification is a big thing. The guinea pig thing, we encourage people, don't be a guinea pig. And that could be somebody's brand new to it, or somebody did multifamily for years and they're really good at that and you trust them in that, but now they want to add self-storage to their portfolio. Well, do they know anything about self-storage? Self-storage and multifamily operate very differently. Did they hire a team that knows self-storage? Well, maybe that's okay then for your risk tolerance. Maybe it's, I need to watch you do self-storage for a while before I invest any money in that side of things. But be cautious around it. This is your money, protect it with the best you can. Doesn't mean we always get it right. There have been some operators the last couple of years that have been tried and true operators that we thought we could invest with and be comfortable with, that have gotten over their skis and ended up in trouble. So it doesn't mean we're going to be wrong, but that's why we say diversify. Don't just keep throwing money at the same, overfunding one operator necessarily. Spread your money around to spread your risk. That's kind of my advice in many, many cases.
Awesome. Yeah, that right there, that's just in life, right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. That right there is a true recipe for success. I mean, you can't tell the crypto crowd that. They're going to go ahead and hodl to the moon, right?
It is what it is. Maybe they'll be right. You never know. But our joke was, the syndication, the passive side was left field. That was our name. We joked that right field was the stock market. Well, honestly, I like the idea of playing in center field is where you ought to be. Have some money in both, diversify, have a really diversified portfolio, play in center field. That's probably the safest bet you could be in then. Yeah, no, that's a great question. That is where it gets into the strategy side of this. That's all defining the buy box to me up front. And it's very individualized. I'll say this over and over. It's very specific to the limited partner that's wanting to invest. But that's the questions you have to ask yourself up front. Are you here to build wealth? Are you here for cash flow? Are you here for tax advantages? Understanding what those buy box metrics are really shapes it, because there's different things. Like I was a cash flow guy, didn't know it. I bought a teardown. I shouldn't have bought that. I shouldn't go into development because that's going to take forever. I shouldn't buy land or forestry or whatever the case is. But depending on your specific situation, you may have any of those strategies. There are options out there available for you in any of those asset classes. You just need to understand what you're looking for, and then we can help you kind of identify the asset classes you should be looking at for your specific strategies. Figure that out and then go from there. That's where you're going to get away from the shiny objects that get you in trouble. So we can have any of those things. You can be all of that if you want. And again, diversification, you ought to have some of all of that probably, but you usually have a ratio. Mostly I want to replace the W-2 income till I get to X point. Then I'm all about wealth preservation at that point. It's so individualized. It's hard to talk in generalities of saying, well, this is going to work for everybody.
Yeah, there's no one
that's why I like doing the coaching now. It is specific. Yeah. Let me sit down with you and let's talk about what you're trying to do. Okay, here's what I would recommend you go look at then from an asset class standpoint. And here's some operators I know that you can talk to.
Okay. Now you mentioned typically with an LP or once the project is completed, which again, I may know the answer. It may be the same answer you gave. It depends on the strategy, right? But typically once the project is completed, you said typically at that point you relinquish control. 9 times out of 10, you're done. Right? So at that point, when the project is done, what is it? The LP, is there's an exit strategy in the aspect of you sell the property
Oh, yeah.
or you transfer it to a property management company? What is typically the exit strategy?
Yeah, usually they are operating it. The general
Okay.
partner you're getting in with, the GP, they are operating it. So they may have to hire a property management company, or that a lot of times they have their own under their own house.
Okay.
They may have to hire construction. Sometimes they have construction too, but they'll all have an exit strategy. Usually the holds are 3 to 7 years, depending on the asset class. Some operators, like I'm in a mobile home park investment in Michigan, that his metric is he bought it, he rented, or he kind of beefed up the property and everything, got it nice, got everything rented. He refied all the money back to us after 3 years. So I got all my money back, but I still had equity in it. And he's in his 40s.
Okay.
He's perpetually holding these. He doesn't want to sell them. So I cash flow out of that thing every month. That I think it's a great structure now that I'm getting cash out of it, but I got all my money back and I've reinvested it somewhere else. So I got money working in two places. That his strategy is he's going to hold it for 20 years before he sells it. And then I'll get an equity event at the end of that. When he sells it, I'll get a portion of whatever profits he gets out of it at that point. Others are, you're in it with them, they're operating, they fix it up, and they turn around and sell it in 5 years. And then we split the profits based on how it's structured. So there's many different kind of avenues to go through that. There are debt deals that you put money in and they're buying debt with your money, kind of like a bank, and you could just decide to pull your money out whenever you're done, kind of thing. So depending again on your strategy, your buy box, there are different avenues for you to go that fit the model of what you're trying to do with your money. Depending on what velocity you want it coming back, what kind of wealth you want to get out of it, what kind of cash flow you want out of it. There are different structures, asset classes for any of those different scenarios.
And now here's probably the $1 million question that a lot of viewers are probably asking at this point, right? I'm watching this episode. I'm up until this point, I'm salivating on everything you shared, right? Okay.
Right.
If I wanted to be an LP, what would be the first initial steps I would need to take in order to do so?
Yeah, I recommend spend time on your strategy more than anything.
Time on strategy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you got to know what direction you're going to go. It's a big open area. There's a lot of stuff going on in this space. Get involved with the community. Come get a coach if you want.
Right.
That kind of thing. But spend time knowing exactly how you're going to deploy and what you want to deploy against, what you're looking for, so that you don't get lost in the forest that is this space, because there's a lot of things out there. I get dazzled by shiny objects every day, and I've been diligent about saying no. I'm picking like 4 asset classes. I'm focusing on these things. These are doing what I need right now. When my life changes and I need to pivot, I'll treat it like a will and I'll change it at that point in
Makes
time.
sense.
But right now, I'm trying to do blinders and stay focused on these things. I recommend that. It's education. Get educated on it first before you start making decisions or investing money that you're just, this sounds cool, and maybe know somebody else that's doing it. That's dangerous. That's where you get into trouble, I think. So, right. And it's, I don't have money coming out of my, ears that I can take risk and be wrong too many times. I've had 2 deals the last 2 years that have gone belly up that I am not going to get a dime back on. So I've lost money on. So it happens. Be smart about it as best you can.
Which that was my next question. So there is a huge opportunity where, like, just like any investment, I'm of course, it's a rhetorical question, but there is a great possibility you can lose money in these things as well too.
There is a chance. Yeah. And what has happened over the last couple of years that really exposed a lot of operators, a lot of guys were going into deals using bridge loans to get the property bought to begin with. And then when interest rates went through the roof, all of a sudden their deals didn't pencil anymore because they weren't expecting interest rates to go up 2 or 3 times what they had in their pro forma. And all of a sudden they were stuck. They couldn't get refinancing. They couldn't sell it. They end up having to sell it on pennies for the dollar. And all of a sudden there's no money left. So it was an expensive lesson for a lot of people. Those are the risks. Now, hopefully you're not investing with anybody that, doesn't understand that model at this point in time. That you're avoiding that situation. Prior to that, in which, the economy was going great, real estate was going great, everybody was making money in it, no matter how well they ran their deals or knew what they were doing because the market took care of it.
Right.
So, I feel like we've had to re-educate ourselves as limited partners to understand what the market really is doing now. Don't expect what it was doing in 2022 or 2020, 2019. It's a different world now than what it was then, but there's still really good returns. I'm a believer there are deals to be made in any economy. I invested just a couple months ago in another one, so I'm still investing right now, but I'm being very diligent. That was the first one I've invested in 2 years.
Okay.
Just because I wanted to be cautious about where I'm putting my money and what I need. Plus, I'm all my capital's deployed, and deals aren't coming back as quick as they used to right now because the interest rates being what they were. There just aren't as many buyers. So, but that's good. I can't make mistakes with my money if I don't have any of it right now to
That
spend.
makes sense. That makes sense. I like that. I like
Right.
that. Okay.
Right.
So you're on both sides of the fence. You're investing with LPs, and also you're a general partner LP yourself, right?
I'm not a general partner. I'm not a capital raiser. We talked about it. We talked as left field about pulling money, but all of us were heading into the passive side so hard that we didn't want to start being in control of other people's money for 7 years, 10 years, whatever it was going to take.
Yeah.
That I was like, no, I'm going to sit on the passive side still. So I stay on the one side, and I'm happy to be here.
Right. Huge overhead where you have other people's money, and you have to be able to make sure you're being fiduciary, responsible for it as well too, right?
Yes, okay. Absolutely.
Now, if you could share some of the tax benefits with getting into syndication, right? Because real estate, just in general, for those that don't know, has a tremendous amounts of tax savings. But what are some of the tax savings that people can expect when they get into syndication deals as well?
Yeah, no, this is good. And I'll preface it that I'm not a CPA.
Okay,
by all means.
Right. Yeah, it's okay. Let's put that disclaimer on.
CYA right now, yeah. So I was that W-2 guy that was thinking I'm gonna build a portfolio of single family homes.
Right.
And I'm a spreadsheet guy. So I had my spreadsheet with all my puts and takes, and in there was always a tax line of, okay, I gotta figure 30% of this money is going to go to tax at the end of the day. So I got to bake that in as I go. Well, the biggest epiphany I had in the syndication, the passive investing side, was when I was modeling my passive investing numbers. I showed it to somebody that was in the space, and he said, oh, well, what's this line here you have on tax? I'm like, well, yeah, I've got, you got to pay capital gains on this stuff. He said, no. He said, you need to take that out. He said, due to the bonus depreciation laws that are in place, you don't have that expense like you do on the active side. Ooh. And again, I will go dig deep into these laws, but
do your due diligence, right?
But the general rule is in the tax laws, they have bonus depreciation structures that are, and it was accelerated bonus depreciation for a long time. It has, Biden kind of stepped it back to where we were not getting everything up front anymore, but Trump actually, there is a bill in the big, beautiful bill that he's trying to pass. There is language in there to go back to 100% bonus depreciation up front. And what that meant was, it used to be in commercial space, they would just go in, value the property, and then you'd get 27 and a half years of depreciation, and they would spread it over that time period. The accelerated bonus depreciation model said, well, wait, no. You go into an apartment and the carpet maybe is going to last 5 years. So let's depreciate it over 5 years. And the countertops are going to be maybe 10. And the electrical outlets, they literally will go count electrical outlets and light switches. And they'll depreciate those over 7 or whatever the case is. Right. And then they added all that up, and then they said, okay, you have a apartment building, we'll give you the credit for all that depreciation up front when you buy the property. So as a limited partner investor, most operators pass that on. If they don't pass that on, I wouldn't invest with them because most do. What I would do, say I put $50,000 into a deal, I maybe got credit for, say, $40,000 of depreciation when I did that. So I have a paper loss year one of $40,000. So say it cash flowed maybe $5,000 a year. Well, that $5,000 a year would go against that $40,000 depreciation and show that I still had a net loss. So I paid no tax on that income while I had depreciation. So then we go and we sell the deal at the end of this. Well, then we have a big capital gain event, but I reinvest that gain in new deals and I get new bonus depreciation from them, and it kicks the can. It defers that tax down the road. That so far my losses have outweighed my gains, that I haven't paid tax on this money in the 4 or 5 years that I've been doing this so far.
Wow.
So it took that 30,000 or that 30% line in my metrics out of the equation that put that money in my pocket instead of paying the government. That changed that was the light bulb that said, oh, wait, no, this is a
it.
30.
Yes.
I mean, you think a 30% difference in your numbers, that's a huge
That's
tangible
a
number.
third. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Absolutely.
So I encourage people, go research this, understand it, understand the value of it. Not all deals have bonus depreciation. There are certain asset classes that there just isn't enough there to depreciate. Mobile home parks don't really have, because you don't own the mobile home, you just own the ground.
The ground.
So there are ones that don't really have that benefit, but apartments, self-storage has some, commercial has it, industrial, just depends on what you're getting into. But it's a big avenue of this space, creates a scenario that defers your tax for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's big.
I'm glad that you shared that. You've educated the consumers a lot when it comes to this, because again, most people may go into this, oh, this is a way to build wealth and everything. Although, like you said, it depends on your strategy, but this could be a great way for even just wealth preservation and the tax savings and retirement as well. A way to park your capital, in other words, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
And now, I want your opinions on this, because, before we wrap up, a couple more questions. Number one, what are your thoughts on, I've been watching Grant for a little bit, and he's saying that the commercial real estate market is expected to take a huge crash, right? There's a lot that's going to, and of course, the writing is on the wall based upon COVID, social distancing, people haven't been going to work and everything like that. Yeah. But he also stated how over the next 5 years is going to be the best time to be able to get into real estate, right? Because of certain, macro and microeconomic factors that's bound to happen here in the United States, right? So what are your thoughts on those? It's a two-part question on number one, the commercial real estate, and the next 5 years of just the overall real estate space.
Yeah. The commercial real estate topic it's difficult because that's a very general thing. Yeah. All of this space falls into commercial, self-storage, mobile or multifamily, industrial, retail. All of that is kind of commercial real estate too. So yeah, it operates like anything else does in the economy. There are ebb and flows. There's highs and lows in different asset classes at different times due to different conditions.
Right.
That there's always going to be things going up and going down. That's my cheat way of getting out of answering that question of like what's hot, what's not. But try to, this is why we say diversify in your asset classes, because there's going to be things that are on the rise. There's things on the rise right now. Multifamily was down for a long time because of the interest rates, but he's watching it pretty heavy because we think it's getting ready to kind of make that spike back up. So everybody's kind of like, is it, and this is you're trying to catch a falling knife idea of, is it the right time to get in or not? To me, it's do your due diligence on the numbers. And if it makes sense for you, great, get in. And if it goes up like people think it's going to go up, that's all the better. So I'm a believer there's deals to be made in any economy. So I'm always on look. But yeah, are there things that are probably going to crash still in the commercial industry? Yeah, there probably are some asset classes that are going to struggle. Self-storage was red hot because it was a lot of mom and pop kind of industry for the longest time. And the commercial companies were coming in and starting to update them and make them more efficient, modernize them and all this kind of stuff. And it was great business for a long time. It's kind of saturated out. So it's kind of died down. Well, what's the next thing? Now I'm watching marinas. Marinas are starting to be syndicated and updated and modernized and everything. That they're kind of the new self-storage. Maybe I don't know yet.
Right.
But,
okay.
So to me, this is the value of being in a community, because then you can go in and ask these questions of, hey, who knows anything about marinas, and try to collect other information to make an educated decision rather than just guessing it. Hey, it looks good. They have a shiny, glossy portfolio they're giving me to look at, well, is it really value? Does anybody know these people, know whether they know what they're talking about or not? What's their track record? What's their reputation? Those kind of things. It's like that community is so valuable in this space to me. just to go out and learn more from other people's experiences and so forth.
So,
I don't know if I answered all your questions.
no, you've answered it. You've answered it perfectly, and you've even hit like marinas. Wow,
marinas.
There's always an asset class. There's always a new trend that's out there. Pretty much.
We hear laundromats now. Laundromats are starting to get hot. It's a cash flow kind of thing. Car washes were big for a while. I don't know. It's funny what you hear. Again, anything you could aggregate money together to go buy could be syndicated. So there's artwork. You take it, you can go through the roof and look at any kind of diversification you wanted to look at by the end of the day, which makes it interesting. You can get very creative with it, but creativity is risk in my mind. So I try not to be creative. I try to be boring. I want to be boring in what I'm doing right now.
There you go.
Boring saves my wealth.
There you go. At this age, you're not like the 20-year-olds that's putting all their money into the next, like I said, the next crypto coin or something.
Exactly. Right? Good for them. Take a run at it. Good luck.
There you go.
I'm going to be over. This is the bond market I'm over in almost over here, and I'm okay with that.
Well, Chad, so far you've been absolute, man. You've educated even myself. I'll be honest. I've been audience. Sorry, I've been a little selfish with the questions, because of some of the questions I had. But I hope that you guys was able to extract us some value out of the questions I have asked too. But one final question, which I want to go ahead and help the audience out here. Now, you've sort of answered this question already.
Yeah. And you've heard this one before, I'm sure, but to me, the biggest thing that helped me get to where I am now, it was about surrounding myself with a group of people that were going to take me to the places I wanted to go. I started talking to my friends about this stuff, and it wasn't their thing. So there wasn't a lot of give take. We weren't getting, it wasn't helping me grow any. And I heard that advice. And that's when I found out these meetup groups and started going to them, and where it led me to surrounding myself with like-minded people that were educated in it and could help me get educated. That was huge for me. That got me out of my comfort seat I was in, of my group, my circle I had. They're still my circle. They're still my buddies and all this stuff, right? But when it comes to my wealth, I'm going to go talk to these other people that know what they're doing with wealth, rather than, not my idiot friends. They'll kill me on that, but you know what I'm saying. So go find that community, go find that group of 5 people or whatever that can mentor you, that are maybe a step or two ahead of you. Maybe some of them are further along in that, so you can see where you can get to. But I liked finding people that were just a couple steps ahead of me, so it wasn't so far off that I didn't know all the steps in between. I couldn't work with them on all the steps in between. So it was finding somebody that could just kind of help pull me along with where they were going to, because I liked where they were going. That was huge for me. And hopefully people can find that. Yeah. Right. But we learn so much from our mistakes too. So don't be afraid of making the mistakes. Now, hopefully it's not a lot of wealth, causing issues, but don't be afraid of making those mistakes, because you learn so much from them anyway. Learn from them, grow from them, have a mentor that can help you educate yourself from those mistakes. And, then you're going to make better decisions going forward. That's kind of what I want to help people do. That's kind of what I'm doing with my coaching, is I'll help mentor you on those things, and we'll talk about it. Learn from what I've done wrong. Let me help. That was my thing. The guy I met at the meetup, I asked him in the meeting, he went through his whole discussion during that meeting saying the things he'd done wrong, but he still left his W-2 because of passive income. I raised my hand in the Q&A and I said, you just told us all the things you did wrong and you got to where you wanted to be. How long do you think that really took you when you saw this was viable? He's like, maybe 5 years. I said, I want to meet you and I want to do it in 3. And I met him and I left my W-2 in 3.5 years. So I almost got it right. So go find somebody that you can lean on, that you trust, that you can have that information and avoid the mistakes they made, learn from them, and start your own path. That's what I did, and it worked out well. So I want to do that for other people too.
But one last quick time, how can the audience reach out to you? I know you have, of course, the left field investors. How can the audience reach out to you?
Yeah. No, the new brand is Chad Ackerman Real Estate, or CARE is what it acronyms to. You can go out to chadackermanrealestate.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn, Chad Ackerman. I'm out there quite a bit too. So happy to get connected. I always say, you've just heard my story. I love to hear other people's journey as well. So, if you're looking for somebody to just bounce ideas off of, I'm happy to chat. You could tell I get passionate about it. I love talking about this stuff. Yes. So give me a ring. I'm happy to talk to somebody about it. It'd be great to connect.
Fantastic. Which, of course, everyone, the links to Chad's website, again, Chad Ackerman Real Estate, is going to be in the description of the bio of today's show. Reach out to Chad. Reach out. Listen, don't just all of my potential real estate investors or anyone getting into real estate, wholesaling does not have to be the first step, guys.
Yeah. I didn't do anything in real estate until I bought into that 17-story building. So that was my first step. So yeah, I'm proof put in the pudding that you can jump right to this. It's not a stair step.
There
It just
you
depends on your strategy. What do you want to do?
There you go. So I'm glad that's why I say today's episode was so enlightening. You educated a lot of individuals that may have said, okay, let me go ahead and take this direction versus the conventional direction that's being taught out there. But
That's awesome.
everyone, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Respect My Blueprint show, where we give you the blueprint on how to do shit around here. And of course, today we did not fail on that as well. Check us out every Monday and Friday at 8 p.m. on YouTube, Spotify, as well as Apple Podcasts. And as always, guys, we're going to catch you on the flip side. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
This conversation about building up your blueprint. It's time to take it, cause time is wasted. Go grind and chase it, don't lose it. This generation need integration with information to move with. An inclination that is abiding in entertaining improvement. Yep, Wesley Paul with Blueprint. His guests are exclusive. Get on and tune in and then learn some new tips about credit, finance, investment. A nice chance to get rich and buy land. Flip it, quick 9 bands. Learn all the skills from Wes, he did it. Learn how to build successful business. Run up a mill and get the digits. Run up a mill. Look, safe place where guests are speaking. Based off financial freedom. All facts, no cap, believe it. Podcast, you have to see it.